Ian Garry just declared himself the best welterweight walking the earth. He says he's putting Belal Muhammad out this Saturday and going straight into a title fight afterward. And if the UFC wants him to face Shavkat Rakhmonov for an interim belt, he says he's absolutely down for that as well. And speaking of heat, the whole situation with Rampage Jackson just popped back up. Their drama originally started over what was basically a podcast mix-up. Garry was supposed to appear on Rampage's show during UFC 298 fight week, but a few days before, Rampage went on Ariel Helwani's show and claimed Garry didn't want to do the podcast because he was worried about being made fun of. He even brought Gary's family into it. Ian fired back immediately, calling Rampage fat and stupid for saying that when his appearance was already scheduled, and then he canceled completely. Later on, Rampage explained himself on Anthony Pettis' podcast, admitting he got it wrong. He said a different fighter was afraid of being clowned, but he assumed it was Ian. But by then, it didn't matter. Rampage openly said Ian is the one fighter he genuinely dislikes, calling him a punk and saying he can't stand him. All right, let's roll the clip.
The only way I'd take another fight is if Islam is injured, Shavkat comes back and they say it's an interim world title fight.
Okay.
Because I want to get that win back. But that's the only fight I would take. When I beat Belal Muhammad and when I knock him out, in the fashion that I know I'm going to do, there is nothing else. I would take the Shavkat one for my own self-sanity and my own want and willingness. But Islam Makhachev is the champion of the world. When I knock out number one in the world, there's no one else above him. It's Islam Makhachev's job to show up. He stepped into this division. He conquered the belt. He did what he wanted to do. Now he needs to face the best in the world. When I knock out Belal, I'm the best in the world. All the top welterweights are going to compete in 7 days of each other. I want the world seeing that Ian Garry is the single greatest welterweight walking this planet right now. That's my job on Saturday night.
You are very good at this.
Khamzat Chimaev just gave the wildest answer of UFC Qatar fight week. Reporters asked him what would happen if Ilia Topuria and Arman Tsarukyan ran into each other backstage. Khamzat's stuck in the middle. He likes Ilia, but Arman is basically family, and he's cornering him tomorrow for the Dan Hooker main event. He made it clear he would never lay a hand on Ilia, but if the two of them start swinging, he'd let them settle it one-on-one. The middleweight champ added that the only people he would attack are anyone who tries to jump in and interfere. That comment went crazy online. He basically said he wouldn't fight Ilia, but he would fight Alexander Topuria, because who else would jump in except Ilia's brother? These comments spread fast, even though Arman already said he has no issue with Ilia and that if they met face-to-face, he wouldn't do anything aggressive. He said he'd even shake his hand. Tsarukyan and Hooker are fighting for the #1 contender spot in Ilia's division, but it's unclear if El Matador will even still be at lightweight by the time the winner earns a shot. The Islam Makhachev matchup is gaining steam quickly. After a bunch of awkward questions from reporters, Khamzat was basically pushed into giving a breakdown of Tsarukyan versus Topuria. The champ kept it respectful, but he admitted one thing clearly. When it's striker versus wrestler, he always leans toward the wrestler. Coming from a lifelong wrestler like Chimaev, that's no shock, but he still made sure not to disrespect Ilia. Then reporters told Ilia that Arman would take him down and out-wrestle him. Ilia shut that down instantly. He said this isn't some simple striker versus wrestler matchup, and that Arman wouldn't just be able to do whatever he wants. But honestly, Ilia versus Arman might never happen anyway. If the undefeated Georgian wins his next fight, there's a strong chance he jumps to welterweight to face Islam. That seems to be the direction things are heading, making a lightweight fight with Arman unlikely. Meanwhile, Tsarukyan meets Dan Hooker at UFC Qatar in just a few hours. All right, let's dive in.
You can't analyze the wrestling that way because you never know. You see a Russian guy wrestling with a American guy, and it can go either way. You know what I mean? Before you were seeing guys in MMA, they were good in striking and maybe in wrestling, but their ground game wasn't that good. Or you see a guy who has a phenomenal ground game, he has a phenomenal striking, but his wrestling sucks. In my case, I'm good everywhere. So you can take me everywhere and I'm gonna feel comfortable. They used to say I'm gonna take you to the deep water. I was born in the deep water. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Take me wherever you wanna take me. But I have so many things. He's gonna have some hard time with me. The only thing I need, it's one punch. And you know for sure that I'm gonna connect that one punch.
Chael Sonnen believes Kamaru Usman deserves the next crack at Islam Makhachev. But he also admits Ian Garry could leapfrog him depending on what happens at UFC Qatar. Chael says he wants Usman to get one more title opportunity because of his legacy, resume, and because he's still one of the most complete fighters alive. But the truth is this, Ian Garry's hype is exploding, and in the UFC, hype moves mountains. If Garry dominates Belal Muhammad, especially by finish, Chael thinks he could take Usman's spot instantly. All week, Garry has been loud, saying he's the guy to dethrone Islam, claiming he's levels above the division, and acting like the belt is already his. His only loss came to Shavkat Rakhmonov, a competitive fight that went the distance and narrowly went Shavkat's way. And speaking of Shavkat, his team just posted footage of him slowly returning to training. So right now, the division is in a strange place. Usman has the resume, Garry has the momentum, and Shavkat is waiting in the shadows. Chael believes everything depends on Garry's performance against Belal. One statement victory could flip the entire division overnight.
I know that Garry is going to do everything he can to steal that fight. And Garry, with a good performance and one shot on a microphone, can cover more ground than another fighter having a year's worth of victories could do. I believe Kamaru Usman is the guy for Islam. I believe it's just as a fan, that's the match that will show us what Islam can do standing up. Because he is not going to just get on top of Usman. I also think that Islam standing up is probably better than we give him credit for, but this would be his chance to show that. I think that's a very fascinating match, particularly in the absence of Rakhmonov. And I don't want Kamaru to sit this one out. Kamaru Usman, as a sportsman, as a gentleman, oftentimes sits these things out. And I don't want him to do that. I want him to jump in this fight. He needs to understand Garry is coming for him. Gary's coming for his spot.
That's all for today's update. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss your daily dose of MMA news.